Thank you, Mariana. So as Mariana was mentioning, we need recurrent, reliable, and sustainable revenue to protect nature. Okay, we have the scientific basis. So this is our dream. Our mission is to have a group of scientists, which is easy for us because my co-founder is one of those scientists at Cornell working with it, and we already got Mariana here. Enable those scientists to have kind of a petty cash so they can make decisions to fund uh, projects that will generate a massive and instant impact. So that's our dream. The issue is, well, how to get the cash. Because yes, we have the global biodiversity framework ready, but the Aichi targets were a failure because of lack of cash. But that's exactly the main part of Mandato. We created a hypothesis that we know by fact that right now e-commerce is offering around $2 trillion a year in discounts. So we built a solution to enable the shopper to share that discount. Our hypothesis was we believe that the shopper might be able to make a donation much easier if the money is not coming out of their pocket. So that's exactly what we built. We built a technology where the shopper can share back with the merchant part of that discount. So if the shopper is getting $100 discount, he can give back to the merchant $20, and the merchant is fully committed to fund vetted environmental projects. Great news is that we launched, we have results, and it is amazing, but we are collecting back 38% of the discounts that merchants are offering. So we passed proof of concept. We're having these great results. The store is even improving their performance on online. And the future is that we will work on those inefficiencies that we're seeing in the value chain process, and the brand can even make more money. So that's exactly how Mandatum works. We are, once again, doing great with the results. Our need right now, we're looking for a climate tech angel. And of course, any company that is using discounts online, please contact me to damian@mandatum.co. And last but not least, Terrazos is the first recipient of the money we are collecting from stores. Why? Because Terrazos is precisely working on guaranteeing funding for the nature conservation through the years. So if you guys want to invest right now on Terrazos, Terrazos is also ready to go. That very quick was our presentation. Now we can go to a Q&A.
Cool. Thank you very much, both of you guys. So, like, is it funding that are the next steps to scale, and what exactly do you need the funds for? Like, how are you going to scale this? You've already, passed your proof of concept. What do you see as kind of the critical factors, obstacles and opportunities to scale?
In our case, we are right now putting together our marketing package. We're going to hire a person, and as a founding team part to help us with the sales part. We're finishing the product. It is working very well, but we got a lot of feedback from over 50 users, and we are improving the product. That's another reason why we're gonna spend that money on. And last but not least, with Mariana, by having Mariana in the team, we are getting rid of one of the main concerns shoppers and merchants have, which is greenwashing. When Mariana is fully endorsed by the World Economic Forum, and that's the other part that we have. So that will be the use of funds that we're looking for right now, Matt.
Cool, I would add, Matt, there's a question on the chat about chain of custody and whatnot. So, one of the things that we've been working with Damian is, Terrazos is one of the companies that can provide projects for, a project developer that's there. And right now we have, 62,000 credits that are ready to be purchased. But it's how do you make sure that there's a due diligence of these projects, right? In our case, for example, we're working, we're pioneers in this space. Biodiversity credits, we're shaping the market. So we've been working with KPMG. They're providing assurance to our project, not just in terms of complying with the protocols that have been designed, but also use of funds and the legal assurances to ensure the permanence of the project. So it's, again, it's about the money, it's about the impact, and it's about the financial and the legal assurances that you can provide within these projects to make sure that that money gets to the right place and the right projects.
That's awesome. Hey, David, I just noticed that question in the chat, and we don't know each other, but he kind of teed me up for what we're working on. So we've been working on a philanthropic eco currency vouchers system that will provide transparency. So it'll go, to the nonprofit, be traceable, then go to the recipient and be traceable, and potentially you can have other traceability factors in there as well. So yeah, we're working on that. Blockchain and other technologies, to be fair, distributed ledgers and whatnot do offer some very good solutions there. I think it's coming. I think, it'll help when consumers and philanthropists demand that, because it's becoming much easier to trace money. It's all electronic. Even before blockchain, you could have a lot of that stuff publicly disclosed from A to B to C. A lot of companies, or even NGOs choose, to report what's required, but don't necessarily go fully beyond. So anyways, yeah, so yeah, we're working on that. At Impact Ecosystem. Marianne, I wanted to ask you a little bit about, because we talked about this last week, I think, about the biodiversity credits. It's a much more complicated field than carbon, because 1 acre of nature doesn't equal another acre of nature. It's not like even fungible units. So explain a little bit about how you deal with that, and also explain your history of biodiversity credits, because that's a new term to people. But the reality is you've been dealing in that space for 15 years now, but under different names. So, in the US, really it was wetlands mitigation or other names that you told me about when we talked. So can you address both of those questions?
Right. So biodiversity credits and what we're seeing in terms of this new market, this voluntary market for biodiversity credits, in a way, it's a spin-off of the compliance market. So in the case of Colombia has a biodiversity offset regulation, right? So when projects, roads, oil and gas, they impact a specific ecosystem within a watershed, they need to offset that impact in that same ecosystem, in that same watershed. The US has a similar system. Australia also has a system. Some European countries have a system like that. In Latin, Colombia is the only country. And then that creates, we were having an issue of amazing, really important sites that need to be conserved, but that would never be able to provide, that wouldn't have a demand. And that's where we started saying, okay, how do we repackage this product so that we can sell it in a voluntary space? So there are several things that we needed to do in order for that to happen. One was, what is the proper unit? So you're talking about units and fungibility. We're saying it needs to be a biodiversity unit that is comparable between different projects. No two places are alike on Earth. And that's the principle of biodiversity, right? But that doesn't mean that you cannot capture in a formula the value of that biodiversity unit, or the value of a specific project or a specific project. So that's what we've been working on. The US is the master in doing this through, because of the compliance market. And what we've done is adapted so that this can be applicable to developing countries where you have the most biodiversity, but also not, you have the most biodiversity and also where it's most threatened. So how can we create these kinds of projects in these kind of contexts? And that's what we've been working on. And then the other thing that we included was tokenization and blockchain. And so every credit, every purchase every credit is a token, and there's full traceability of who the purchaser is. And what we hope happens, it's not just, tokenization is not just for traceability, but how can we work on creating a token that eventually, increases value because of how the information of the project is represented and in that token and so on. So that's the kind of stuff that we're working on. And it's, again, no two places are alike, but that doesn't mean that you cannot have a market that values standing forest, biodiversity, that again is something that we all depend on, for economic growth and for avoiding pandemics down the road, etc.
So David had one more great question, but we are a bit over time, and I see Ashley Tyson's with us. So maybe you can address that question in the chat, Mariana. David's question there about indigenous and local communities being on the forefront of these projects. And yeah, if you could address that in the chat. Thank you guys both, Mariana, Tarazos, Damian, Mandatum, and good work. Well done.